Hey, long sleeved. What's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite albums, and today I'm gonna finally do the mini albums review that I've been waiting on for doing for such a very long time. But yeah, I'm running out of time here. I need to go and eat dinner. I need to do my biology assignment report essay thing. Oh, kill me. And I need to work on some other things about my future short film project. But I'm also gonna take my time out to talk about music because I love music. Yes. So yeah, similar to last time, I'm gonna be doing a review on four albums that's not necessarily popular or anything, because I figured that I should do reviews of popular albums on longer and independent videos. Yeah, individual videos. Anyway, let's cut the crap. Let's start off with Blue and Ono with A Long Red Hot Los Angeles Summer Night. That is a long album title. Oh my gosh. So Blue and Ono are some underground rappers. I think Blue is the rapper and Ono is the producer. Or maybe Ono raps a little bit on the album too. I think. Yes. And yeah, they have been in the hip hop scene for a while now. They have been coming out with all sorts of collaboration albums for a while now, and in fact, Ono is the brother of the legendary producer Madlib, who came out legendary albums with MF Doom, and that one album with Freddie Gibbs is awesome, and yeah. And of course, Blue and Ono comes together in the year 2019 for this album. And yeah, I'm actually really impressed with this album. This album feels incredibly cohesive. Everything flows so smoothly, and of course the performances are really meaty, really solid in my opinion. I think the production, even though a little dusty, it really has a lot of style. It's also pretty groovy, and the production is way less messier and also more colorful and tasteful. And the fact that it is a concept album makes this album way better. And now I love it a lot. I love it a lot. I think it's one of the better hip hop albums of the year by far. The album starts off with the Lost Angels Anthem, and it's a very nice, weird, catchy, fun opener for the album with some laid-back, sensual singing. Angels coming from Malingos. And yeah, again, amazing flow from Blue and great production. And the second track is almost equally as good. It is titled It Never Rains in Southern Los Angeles, and it has this dreamy psychedelic quality to it with some scratchy synths, or was it keys? I'm not sure, but still, it is amazing. The lyrics are awesome as well. You know, they say when it rains, it's the tears of God. And then the third track is also really good. Round Bout Midnight is the title. It sounds way more villainous, and I really like the Saor piano keys and the horns and the bass on this thing. They mix together so well. The vocal performance is also pretty freaky, and it adds so much more texture and flavor to the track. The track Straight No Chaser, even though I'm not too crazy about it, I still like the instrumental quite a bit. It has these disorienting bass and drums, and it all goes together very smoothly, and it's all pretty okay, you know. The track Boogie to Flex has some weird, obscured, gloomy, but also groovy strings, and the instrumentals overall has this nocturnal and psychedelic quality to it, which is amazing. And I also really love how the notes on the track just cascades off of one another. It's beautiful. And the track Champagne is a short but pretty sweet track with some nice woodwind samples. The track Robbery, it tells a story about Blue actually getting robbed, and it has a nice concept to it, and it also sets up for a lot of the other events in the narrative of the album that comes in the second half. And I also really like the clipping drum beats of the track as well. The track Liquor Store is a really nice way to, I guess, resume the narrative, resume the concept, success the concept. And yeah, on the track Liquor Store, it has these nice supermarket instrumentals, you know what I'm talking about. And the lyrics here are actually really conceptual, and they sort of react to the robbery that happens on the previous track. And the track Made the Call has some really tasteful horns, and the track Stalkers, one of the highlights of the album, one of my favorites on the album. I really like the chilly, plucky lead melodies, the guitars, they are really well put together. Also pretty cinematic and professional sounding, almost like a track coming out from Mad Villainy, which is a duo of MF Doom and Mad Lib, by the way. And I really like how paranoia-inducing this track sounds. The narrative of the track is pretty amazing as well. And immediately after, we have Pop Shots. Pop, pop, pop. It's really awesome. The performance is pretty raw. I love how Gangsta the track sounds as well. You know, involving more about guns and firearms on the track. And immediately on the next track, we have Do the Crime, which has some troublesome pianos. And it's a sad turning point for the narrative of the story. You know, on the previous track, it's sort of like this fun, you know, criminal thing, and then, oops, somebody fucked up, I guess. And then after that, we have Murder Case, which is also really sad, with some sentimental, smooth strings. And I also really like the excellent and bold backup vocals on the thing. And then we have Facing Time, which clocks at around 1.5 minutes long, but it is easily one of my favorite tracks off of the entire album. It's a highlight. It just grew on me so much since I first heard it. It's so beautiful and nostalgic. The soul sample is really sweet, but also kind of forlorn and lonesome. And the way the track ends, where Blue says that he may not ever see his baby or daylight again, it hits kind of hard, actually. And the second last track, Jail Cypher, is actually a pretty fun, lighthearted, animated, cartoony song about prison. Yeah, with a lot of features. I guess I'm not too crazy about the features on this album as a whole, as some of the features here do feel a little bit too over the top, but still love the performance. And of course the album ends off with a happy ending titled Fresh Out, and it's a really fun and positive way to end off the album. And overall, I love the album. I think it's a great concept album. It would be really great if the album would just end off at Facing Time. It would be a sad, realistic, impactful, heavy-hearted ending for the album. But I guess giving the narrative a happy ending is not all that destructive as well. And but still, I would rather, the album to end off at Facing Time. But still, love it a lot. Amazing performances, great beats, great production. I am giving this album an 8 out of 10. Hell yeah. And my favorite track here is The Lost Angels Anthem. And my least favorite might probably be... Ooh, this is tough. This is indeed tough. Probably Champagne. And then up next, I'm going to be talking about the lesser known album that came out quite a few weeks ago. And I stumbled upon this album while, scrolling through rateyourmusic.org because I'm looking for new music to enjoy. I'm looking for albums to enjoy in 2019, and hopefully, some of them are going to end up in my year-end list. And this band, I've never heard of them. I've only heard of them recently. They are a Scottish Celtic folk black metal band, and they are Saors, I don't know, man. It's Scottish Gaelic, okay? cut me some slack. I'm from Hong Kong. Okay? But yeah, this album is titled Forgotten Paths. Forgotten Paths. And it only has 4 tracks. And yeah. Going into the album, I really don't know what to expect. But yeah, a lot of people actually gave positive reviews for the album. And I've gave it a few listens, and here are my opinions. I don't think it's all that great. I think the performances, they are really, really passionate, and the instrumentals are extremely epic. But I just get this feeling that, you know, this album doesn't sound all that original. It doesn't sound all that innovative. And a lot of the metal passages here just comes off as kind of cliche or a tad bit corny sounding, because sometimes at a few moments maybe it's trying too hard to sound epic, especially with the folk, you know, Celtic folk influences. However, I still enjoy quite a bit of the album. The title track is probably my favorite here. It has these again, really epic instrumentals, these soaring guitars that soars high, these riffs that are really repetitive and loud and expressive and colorful, and these drum beats that just goes so fast it almost blends into the background like it's a part of the background noise. And the vocals here, while I'm not a huge fan of them, they're pretty muscular, like pretty, and they're pretty chunky and pretty mournful, as well as, again, this is a more of a folk, medieval tinged metal album. It's kind of weird, actually, and I kind of like that at the end the song just builds to a pretty explosive climax. And then we have the track Monadh, I don't know, man. I don't know. And yeah, this track, maybe it just tries too hard to sound epic. It kind of comes off as a little corny, a little cheesy, maybe, in my opinion. It does sound kind of cliche and kind of typical. Almost has the same problem with the latest Deaf Heaven record. While I enjoy quite a bit of the latest Deaf Heaven record, I still think that a couple of tracks on that album just pales, because it just tries too hard to be this, spacey, emotional, sort of this heavy-hearted metal thing. And towards the end, the track just melts into this, this acoustic guitar section where we get a layer of washed out bass and also some unplugged guitar crisps on top, and it just sounds kind of off, to be honest. It doesn't sound all that great. It doesn't sound all that well composed. It's mellow but also very awkward. And then we have the third track, Bròn. It's a very, very Celtic track, very folk influenced, as they bring in some woodwinds, some bagpipes, oh my gosh, in a metal track. Yeah, even though a few moments here sound a little cliche, it's still a very epic sounding track with some passionate, colorful, and tasteful performances. And the album ends off with a little nice track titled Exile. It sounds pretty neat, but at the same time, it may be kind of a weak ending for a metal album, in my opinion. It's basically these sad, empty-sounding medieval ukuleles, and it's pretty lo-fi, but I guess it's a pretty effective cool-down method. But yeah, still not too crazy about the album. I'm still going to be generous, though, as I think the performance itself and the overall instrumental of the thing is pretty gargantuan, sounds pretty ambitious, pretty epic. I'm giving Saor's Forgotten Paths a 6 to a 7 out of 10. But for my own enjoyment, probably a 6, though. I don't know, 6, 7, kind of in between. Anyway, you must be dying to hear my opinion on this Higher Brothers album. So the Higher Brothers is a 4-member rap group from Sichuan, Chengdu. Yep, Sichuan being the province and Chengdu being the city. And yes, they are from China. And that piqued my interest because, as you know, in mainland China, I'm not from the mainland. I'm not from mainland China. Calm down. But in the mainland China, rock music and rap music are so scarce because a lot of the rock bands and rap artists are essentially banned and prohibited from performing or making music because their music is deemed to be a threat to the national reputation or a threat to the people's mental health or moral values in general. So the musical scene of China and Hong Kong and Macau and Taiwan are pretty dire, in my opinion. And then we have Higher Brothers. They rap pretty dirtily, similar to basically all the rappers in the USA. And I'm actually kind of surprised that the Chinese government isn't like getting bothered because of this. Maybe it's because they are, working for 88 Rising now, which is essentially an Asian American hip-hop record label. However, judging by a few teaser singles they put out before releasing this album, and on first few listens of the album, I was kind of concerned because first of all, it is extremely hard to rap in a tonal language. And Mandarin is a tonal language. It has 4 tones. And it is even harder to rap in Cantonese because it has 6 tones, 6 basic tones. It's so hard to just get the syllables right and arranging it in such order so that they sound smooth and catchy and they fit into the beat, into the flow. It's extremely difficult. So you either rearrange the lyrics and the words and make it sound extremely nonsensical, or get rid of the tone in general. And the Higher Brothers did the latter. They got rid of the tones of almost all of the Chinese words they have uttered on the album, and it sounded kind of weird. Sometimes it's even unintelligible, but at the same time, what else can you do? Second of all, I'm pretty disappointed that they are just trying so hard to follow this trap rap trend that's just exploding in the USA for like 5 years now. Like they see this rise of trap rap and they're like, whoa, it's getting so popular now, a lot of people like it, so I guess if we do it, it's gonna give us money too, right? We're gonna make money off of this trap rap thing, right? So they're just trying so hard to make carbon copies of every generic trap rap song ever. And that's kind of disappointing. I wish they could have brought something onto the table that's more innovative, more creative, more original. But surprisingly, the album opener 16 Hours is not that much of a generic track, but it's actually a pretty laid-back, relaxing trap rap song with some fun, bouncy performances, to be honest. And the second track has this goofy gangsta beat that's actually not that bad. It's titled Open It Up. However, bulk of the tracks on the album still feel drab, generic, and unoriginal. Like the track Flexing So Hard, which has these annoying toy piano samples. And One Punch Man has these just so annoying and redundant trap rap beats. They feel so average and generic, and the way they're just being looped forever is just annoying. And however, Denzel Curry and Ski Mask the Slump God performances on this track is pretty awesome, pretty fiery, pretty solid. However, the performances of the High brothers themselves aren't going anywhere. And of course, they have to talk about Kung Fu on the track because, you know, whenever you talk about Chinese people, you immediately associate it with noodles and Kung Fu and dumplings. And then we have the track Do It Like Me, which is absolutely disappointing. JID is on the track, and JID's performance is awesome, but I mean, he could have rapped on a way better track and JID would be amazing, but unfortunately the beat on this track is just so boring, so spacey, so bland and dry. And then we have the track Top, which features Soulja Boy, and it has this villainous beat that just sounds kind of drab and redundant as well. And Soulja Boy's performance here is mostly auto-tuned, so it's pretty underwhelming, and I can tell that Soulja Boy is phoning in a bit. And however, a highlight on the album would be the track Sunshine, which has a nice, catchy West Coast flavored beat, and the flow by all the members here are way more consistent, and the performance, they are trying less hard to sound over the top, and it's working out for them. It's a little more toned down, a little bit more rational. And then we have we talk about bitches and money. We talk about bitches and money. We talk about bitches and money. They basically repeat this line over and over and over again, and it's really fucking annoying. And then we have this Japanese rap feature, and it sounds so effortless. It sounds like the Japanese rapper is totally phoning it in. He doesn't even want to be on the track. And then we have Gong Si Fa Tai, you know, which is like the thing you would say in Chinese New Year, and it's an absolutely generic, boring trap rap song, and it doesn't sound like Chinese New Year at all. It totally devoid of the atmosphere that a typical Chinese New Year has. And then we have a Won't Believe, which is basically this generic trap rap track. However, Schoolboy Q is on this thing, and he's pretty good. And then we have the track Need Me Now, which is this laid-back, lovelorn R&B, dance hall-inspired track. And it's actually not that bad. However, on the next track, Diamond, it's equally as lovelorn, but the beat is a little slower, and the chorus is completely sung with autotune. And once again, it sounds pretty gross. And we have No More featuring Nikki, who is also in 88 Rising as well, I think. And it's this pretty drab, cliche, and predictable R&B rap fusion. And the album ends off with Zombie. It features Rich Brian. And it's a rough, raw, drab, dry ending to the album. However, Rich Brian sounds like a total professional compared to these guys. But yeah, it's not terrible, I guess. And overall, the album is it's not that great. I am kind of surprised that some of the tracks here do sound okay. However, a bulk of it still sounds really generic and unoriginal. But speaking of generic, the next album I'm going to be talking about is Gunna with Drip or Drown 2. Yeah, it just... me thinking about the album it just kills the mood. Let's start off by admiring this dumbass album cover. Probably one of the worst album covers I've seen in a very long time. Probably the worst since Miley Cyrus and her dead pets. It's just this idiot in a swimming pool with a fucking umbrella and him being spherized as if he's one of the memes, one of the dank memes. But no, instead, it is actually the official album cover for the thing. Yeah. One word for the album. One word. Boring. This album is so fucking boring. You can fall asleep to the album, and I'm not even exaggerating. It's that boring. The track, yeah. The only two tracks here that I find tolerable is Outstanding and One Call. Outstanding has a nice, wavy, psychedelic vibe to it with some water instrumentals. It sounds pretty sweet. It's okay. Even though the performance sucks ass, but hey, it's still okay. And the track One Call, even though it's absolutely boring, but it still has some tasteful instrumentals compared with all the other tracks on the album. All. Everything else sucks ass. Everything else sounds like nothing. The album opener, With It, is this sleepy, spacey, breathy album opener that just automatically puts you to sleep, with some really annoying groans and moans. The track Cash War is unbearably empty, and the beat is just so slow and lightweight and non-existent. The track Richard Millie Plane is so drab. We get some guitars here that's sort of troublesome sounding. I kind of like how watery it is, but still the track is just so drab. And then we have the track Yao Ming, which is surprisingly mellow with the guitars and all, and it's boring. And we have a track here that's literally titled IDKY. I don't know why. I don't know why did I put this track here. I don't know. Maybe I accidentally slipped this track in. I don't know, man. Whatever. Fuck it. And yeah. It has some really loud, annoying beats, some lo-fi, elevator music, instrumentals. It would be an overstatement to say that the music here is as exciting as elevator music, because it's even more boring. We have the track Derek Fisher, and we have Lil Baby here, and Lil Baby and Gunna twice the boringness. Do you remember the album where Lil Baby and Gunna comes together last year? The Drip Harder album. It's one of the worst of the year. Baby Birkin is another boring track with some, very bland, mundane xylophone samples that just don't really do anything. And then we have the track Speed It Up, where it gets so boring and effortless and empty that the keys begin to fall off. It's that bad. And it's the vocals on this thing is just so choppy. The flow of Gunna is almost non-existent on this track. Speed it up. Speed it up. Speed it up. And then we have Three Head Snake. Young Thug is on this track, and Young Thug completely overshadows Gunna. It's like Young Thug is the real rapper here. And then we have the track Big Shot with some extremely disgusting, delayed, detuned guitars just, hanging in the background. And then we have On a Mountain, which is basically this ridiculously bland country trap rap fusion. And it's definitely a Young Thug ripoff. And then we have Out the Hood, and it's this it's the least gangsta track I've heard. It's so quiet. This track sounds like an interlude. It sounds like an interlude, for fuck's sakes. And Gunna, making sounds like and then we have Same Young African American. Playboy Carti is on this thing, and Playboy Carti can't even save himself from this disease of boredom and blandness. Same old track here, and then the album ends off with Who You Foolin', which has this, Chinese music instrumental, like these Chinese strings, like and it just and Gunna is trying to force this Chinese instrumental with some hi-hat heavy trap beat, and it just completely falls flat because both of these sounds just don't go together. and it's insultingly stupid sounding, and then throughout the entire album we get this producer trademark, Wheezy out of here, Wheezy out of here, and it's absolutely ridiculously annoying, and I fucking hate this album. Look, man, I respect Gunna, I respect Gunna as a person, but this album is just already one of the worsts of the decade. So, yeah. I don't want to be that mean, but unfortunately I have to give it a 1 to a 2 out of 10. My favorite here is Outstanding, and my least favorite is Who You Foolin'. And my favorite track off of the Higher Brothers one is Sunshine, and my least favorite is friggin', I don't know. We talking about. So, have you listened to these albums? From 1 to 10, how much did you rate them? Like if you like them, hate if you hate them, and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching.